When you see the name Sony on an audio product, two things come to mind. You either think about the Sony Walkman mini discs, changing the game, being the best, or you realize that Sony makes the shittiest audio products usually on the planet Earth, and their explode amps do explode, and the receivers tend to have 1% distortion, and, you know, video products, you know, God bless Sony. They're, you know, Trinitron tubes. I'm still using an FW900 monitor, for fuck's sake. So they can handle video just fine. Cameras, fine. But audio products have never been their strong suit. So, a nice Redditor named Jeff sent me these. The Sony Dynamic Stereo Headphone MDR-7506. And these are his 5-year-old pair. So he's in broadcasting, and he says he lives with these. I live with these. And these are about $85 now, roughly. And they came in this little pouch, which is actually very, very, like, damn stiff. And you look at them, and they're small, and they're light. And they look, this one's a little worn, but they're comfortable. I put them on, and they're like, oh, you know, these are about the same size as the Koss. Come here, Koss. Pro DJ 100s. Roughly the same size. And these Koss are uncomfortable as hell. And that's mostly because these are perfectly round, and I don't know, I think the clamp is too hard on them. Where these, and although they won't actuate as far as those, they give you an actual ear shape, which is nice. They give you an oval ear shape, and it's very soft, and everything's very light. These almost feel fragile. But since they're 5 years old, and he said he used them for those 5 years, I'm impressed. These exposed wires don't give me much confidence in that I'm not going to rip those on something when I just put them down. No detachable cable. Sort of sucks. If these had a detachable cable and you could shorten this sucker up, because that is it's still like one of those 10-foot coiled cables, and these would be my go-to portable headphone. Now, these I'm putting on the table. These are very, very... These have, I'm going to say it right away, the best low-end, the best cleanest closed headphone low-end I've heard. I want to say ever? Do I say ever? I don't know if I'd say ever. But remember how the M50s, I hate the M50s. You can watch the review. Go back and watch me hate on the M50s. These are the M50 lights. And because they are the lights, because they cost less, only $85. Because the bass is there, but not murderous. If you put these on and you close your eyes and imagine that you're in a room with speakers and a subwoofer, that would be the perfect subwoofer. These produce the perfect subwoofer sound. It's just tight, clean bass. Now, what about the rest of the sound spectrum? Highs, they're a little high-centric. You might get some sibilance rattling your teeth, depending on how sensitive you are. But not, you know, it's not a deal breaker. And the mid-range doesn't exist. Mid-range, the curve will just be like, oh, look at that perfectly flat bass. Mid-range, and then high. Just highs fly up there into the sky. And that's why I'm calling them my perfect portable headphone. Portable headphones, and whatever reason you want to claim on this, I said it with the M80s, I say it with these. You want an exaggerated bass. Well, this is very clean. It is definitely a bump in the entire range of bass. And then, although the mid-range, you know how good a headphone has to be for I have no mid-range for me to like it? I'm the flat headphone, like, whore. My brainwaves are just neutral. Neutral headphones. Like, oh, these are lovely. And these are not neutral. These are bass, little baby bass cannons that are livable bass. It's a big difference between over-exaggerated, muddy, dirty bass, like the Koss are, what these produce, and then what the fucking M50s shit out onto your fucking head, and it's just like, oh, that sounds amazing, and you start throwing up after an hour. And these are more comfortable than the M50s also. I don't know how many hours I wore these, and I put them in my portable. They're super efficient. 5 years, he says. 5 years. I don't believe it. They're definitely on ear. but your ear touches the entire thing. I think the problem with on-ears and me is if my ear only touches the top or the bottom, like on a round cone, it only touches the top and bottom because they don't hit the front and back. I think that bothers me more. So this is a good, soft... I wonder how much these pads, if you could put these pads on other things, would really improve comfort levels. Because they look cheap and they feel cheap. They feel like there's something going to... You know, why would you get these? But that cheap softness is just cushiony. Cushiony love. And like I said, portable, because they do fold. I took them out of the little case. So look at that. Look at that. That's tiny. I may buy a pair. Because currently, for portable audio, all I have is either my NVXs or my brainwaves, which are, you know, let's pull them out of the non-portable pile. This is a non-portable headphone. Because, you know, let me fold this up. No. And this gets real tiny. The costs, which I very rarely take out because they're good and they're aluminum and they articulate like a bastard. But they don't, unless you change the pads out on them, they're too uncomfortable to wear. And these, you don't have to change the pads out, and these fold, and they're not this huge, and they're actually probably more efficient than that. And this is the only problem, this goddamn massive cord. So I guess if you really want to get ghetto, you could wrap the cord around itself, which will probably take 10 hours. I just thought of that. Wrap it back up its line and then back down, and you'd have a normal length. It comes with the 1/4-inch adapter, screws off. When I plug it into my emotive DAC, it blasts at negative like 16, which is about as efficient as the brainwaves / and the costs actually take more power to push. So I understand why people love them. I understand it. I didn't understand it before because I had never had a pair of Sony headphones, because I always knew from my father and from his father that Sony doesn't make good audio products. Sony makes shit audio products. I mean, they make those Sony towers and they're passable, but they're not magical. And they make all that car crap. I don't care about any of that car crap. And they make receivers that I constantly tell people I don't list them in my list of recommendations. Don't bother with Sony. It says right in the box, like you're an idiot, with a bullet point, 1% total harmonic distortion at 8 ohms or whatever it is at full volume. And 1% is like an immense amount. This old Pioneer from like 94 or 3 does 0.003% distortion at full power. So to make it 1% is like 300 times more distortion in a modern surround receiver than this one. So that's no. That's a no. I don't give a goddamn how nice and smooth their user interface is because they developed the PlayStation. They can make game consoles if they want, and they can make televisions and projectors and cameras and apparently headphones. I have to do some research now. I gotta find out if Sony makes higher end headphones. I'm talking higher end. I'm talking in the $400 range. I want to know if they do and what they're capable of. Because if this is what a sub $100 set of headphones does, then those have to be magnificent. Alright. Now I'm going to do my headphones a little bit differently, my headphone reviews. Instead of putting on the recording box now at the end of this video, to keep this part where I actually talk about it and give you my opinion live on mobile, I will not play music. There'll be no music played except for whatever bit of the Gorillaz you just heard. And there will be a second video now that I will link in the description or pop up a bar here. And it'll take you to the second half of this review where I simply put it on my recording rig, throw a couple tracks through it, try to give you the impression of what it sounds like. And if that gets blocked on mobile, then what are you going to do? You got to find a real computer or use an app that doesn't go through m.youtube. There's a whole argument from Microsoft. I read the whole. It's terrible. It's a nightmare. But yeah. Thumbs up. Approve on these. Probably a good first headphone. Shit tons better than the M50s for a starter headphone. for a fun headphone. Like I said, they're not super... I don't know, you know, okay, professional studio headphones, I don't think these are. I wouldn't mix on these. That mid-range is just non-existent from, like... I'm trying to think of the numbers. Let's say 300 to 1500 is just, you know, bleh. That's completely a guess. I didn't measure these, but that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And these are 5 years old, so I could be completely misstruing it. They might have changed the design by now, or these might be so broken in that they've lost a little bit of the mid-range. But absolutely crystal clear highs and the best low-end reproduction. The most I'd ever want to see low-end go on a headphone without being open is these. Right there. Right? Don't... You're a bass head. Try these on and know that Zio says that's as much as you should ever get. And be done with it. Oh, I want more than that? Get the fuck off my channel. Alright, I'm going to stop now because I'm not sure how long I've been recording and drooling over these. What are your numbers? Like anyone's going to use those numbers ever. Studio monitor. Yeah. Good headphones. Jeff will get these back now and he could say I sweat all over them.